Hello, hello. It is day 144 of my 365-day raw suspending disbelief journey. It is September 13th, 2024, and today was my rejuvenation day. This was the day that I was like, I need to stop. And I rescheduled my calls. I uh, just sort of like turned everything off, right? And I was so wound up that I wasn't capable of actually shutting down yet. So, um, I specifically wanted to have some downtime during the time that my daughter was gone to school, my youngest, because she's only gone for a couple of hours a day, and I knew that I needed some real, true shut off time. Like beyond just going and putting my feet in the grass for a couple of minutes, or beyond meditating for 20 minutes, or whatever, and definitely beyond just chilling out and watching TV or something like that. So I um I dropped her off at school, got myself some breakfast and a coffee, and just sort of sat and took my time and ate them, and ended up like, okay, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to just allow myself to sort of just sit there. And I knew that this was what I needed, so that's why I was doing it. But at the same time, as soon as I sat down, I was like, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And I was kind of just doing that the whole time. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and I know it's so interesting these days. I've become so much more self-aware, right? So when I'm in this mode, I'm aware of it as it's happening, and it's just almost comical. Like, I still am feeling those things. I still am experiencing the ridiculousness of it, but at the same time I can be like, yeah, I see that this is happening. Like, this should not be happening. This is ridiculous. So it's really interesting that I can kind of see both parts. So I um I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm itching, right? I'm like, I should turn on my phone and check my messages, or I should, like, this is where usually when we're being unconscious and when we're not being present in our lives, we're just flipping on the phone all the time, and looking at whatever, scrolling through social media, answering emails, like whatever the case may be. And I knew I shouldn't be doing that, but I kept getting the urge. So then I almost thought like, oh, I'll turn on the TV. And I was like, no, that is also not. And I could feel it. It was like, but I should be, like, if I'm just going to sit here, I might as well be taking things off of my watch later list on YouTube. I might as well be like going through those. I never have time to watch those. So I should be doing that, right? I should turn that on and watch those things. And it was like, no, that's not the point. The point is not to turn into a zombie and veg out in front of the TV. That is not actually what I need right now. I need to shut off. And I kept on catching myself at every turn with all of these different ideas that my brain was coming up with that I should, quote unquote, be doing. So I kept on, I had the thought, I would reject it. I had the thought, I would reject it, right? And it got to the point where, like, I, pardon me, I quieted my mind enough. I was like, um, I kind of got out of that should and shoulding on myself mode. And then I'm like, well, uh, sitting there, it's silent. All I hear is the clock ticking, dog breathing, whatever. And I'm like, all of a sudden I get all of these creative ideas coming into my head. And it's like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. And the urge to get up and go get a piece of paper and a pen or my computer or whatever to go and act on those creative ideas was so strong. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And they just kept coming and coming and coming. And I'm like, I'm going to forget these, right? And you're going into like that panic mode of like, if I don't write this down, I'm going to forget it. If I don't, that's going to happen. And so I literally just said out loud to my guides, I was like, enough. And I need, like, this is not the point of this time. And I know that I haven't been very open to hear the creative intuition pieces lately, because I've been so busy and I've been go, go, go. But just because I slow down for a second does not mean that it's time. I need silence. I need to stop. And so I need you guys to help me remember these later. I'm not even going to write them down right now. And this is just not the time. So remind me later. And that seemed to steady that flow and slow that down so that I could clear that out of my head. And then I had even like turned on the TV and selected the YouTube app and was like, and had told myself before no. And so I could still see it on the screen in front of me. And it was just this, there was a video on there and it was like relaxing morning music, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, okay, I think I need a go between because I seem to not be able to completely shut off this stream of pressure filled thoughts, things that are making me feel anxious, things that are making me not want to sit here. I was feeling like I should get up and clean the house, like I should, do all of these things. And I was just like, what can I do here? So when I actually noticed what video it was sitting on, I was like, okay, maybe that's divinely guided. And I'm just going to click on that. And I put that on, and it was enough to, I think, stimulate my brain just slightly enough so that I would not be having these constant streams of thoughts. And I wound up being able to take that deep breath out or like release that breath, right? And just like, okay. So then I sat there and I was just sort of watching. It was like nature scenes on this video and they're flashing between different scenes and whatever. And I'm just watching and listening to the music. And it was enough to feel like, I guess, like I was occupied, but at the same time, not really be doing anything. And what I needed was to not be doing anything, but my brain wasn't ready to shut off. And we can get into that mode, right? Of being so overstimulated and so stuck in a mode of just nonstop go, go, go that we end up literally not being able to turn it off. And this is what I had been finding for the last week. And this is why I had a full on breakdown day and got so angry, right? Because even when I was doing my self care, and I do every day without fail, I do my self care. I take time for me. I spend time alone. I'm in the quiet. I put my feet in the grass, all of these things. I get grounded and all of this. But what I was finding even for like the last week approximately was that even when I put my feet in the grass, it was, I would maybe get like a few moments where I really felt deeply connected and present in the moment. And the rest of it was just like, okay, this isn't working. And I would just sort of walk away from it because I had just so much on my plate that I didn't have the patience for it. And not being able to turn off and come back to calm for that many days in a row has now become a state of being that I cannot be in, right? I just do not feel good in my body. Everything feels awful. So, um, I went most of my life without ever being grounded and without ever feeling that deep connection to the earth and all of this. But I now, having experienced it and consistently being in that state, now when it's missing, it is very, very noticeable for me, and it has a really, really big impact on me. So, um, anyway, I just sort of watched this, was listening to the music, and it didn't take long before I was like, oh, okay, I'm laying back in the chair. Like I was in the recliner in the living room, and I just put the feet up and laid the chair back and started kind of zoning out. And I set an alarm so that I wouldn't miss going to pick up my daughter, because I figured I was going to fall asleep. And it was really interesting actually, because I've felt like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, but I wasn't really that tired. I just needed to be in that complete zone out space in my brain. And so I laid the chair back and I closed my eyes and I was just listening to the music, and I just got into this state mentally of complete peace and surrender, right? And just being in the moment and being present, instead of that feeling of needing to go and do, right? Achieve, like I was talking about in the other episode. And um it really just um it surprised me. It surprised me that I didn't fall asleep, that I wasn't actually that tired, that it was more just a mental exhaustion and being completely drained. And because I didn't just lie down with my brain racing a mile a minute, um that ended up that I didn't actually fall asleep. So a lot of the time, if I feel that overwhelmed and stuff and I lie down, I take a nap, because it's like that's the only way to shut my brain off. And I actually was able to shut my brain off without falling asleep. And so I just ended up being in this beautiful, calm state. And I think I think I had about 45 minutes left till I had to pick up my daughter by the time that I set that alarm, and I only ended up laying there for about 20 minutes, and then I just felt so rejuvenated compared to even what a nap would have given me. Um and I sat up and was just like, "Huh, like I feel so much better." And I wasn't by any means at 100%, but I just felt so much better than I had been. And so then I was able to just sort of like I just sat. I kept watching those scenes. I just, made myself sort of stay there and not, okay, just because I feel an improvement, I'm going to go and dive into doing again. Right. So I used the rest of my time that I had available before I had to go get my daughter. And then when I went to get her, I made sure that I spent time just being really present with her. And, um, after doing that for a while, I was like, okay, now I really, really want to clean my house. But it wasn't a feeling of like, you're not being productive, so you should. It was, I want to. And so I leaned into that, and I just started cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and prepping food for a stew for the night, and just all the things. And um, it was, it's a state that I never ever would have imagined in past years, where I just unwind so fully and feel so connected and present when I'm cleaning. So I'm folding laundry, I'm doing laundry, whatever. I'm wiping stuff, I'm chopping vegetables, I'm doing dishes, like all of these things. And I just like, I didn't put any music on. I didn't, a lot of the time I'll listen to a podcast episode or an audiobook, or just some music, right? As I'm cleaning or as I'm cooking. And it was just like, nope, we're staying off of all of that right now. And I just stayed connected and just was present in the moment of doing those things. And it didn't feel boring, and it didn't feel like, I wanted something to occupy my mind or whatever. And it was amazing. And I did that for hours and completely exhausted myself. But in a really good way, right? In a physical exhaustion way, where I had used up my energy fully for the day and my mind still felt peaceful. So that was amazing. And then I had later on in the day, I had two love seat couches dropped off by my mom and her husband and my uncle. And like, this is sort of just a funny story, but ever since I moved into this place, which was almost a year ago today, like it was October 1st. we have not had couches. Or sofas, like whatever you want to call them. We just had like this empty living room. And I deliberately got rid of my coffee table ages ago. Like, I don't like having a coffee table. We are insane in this house. We run around, we're crazy, and just all it does is give us a place to put drinks that then get knocked over, or something to smash our shins into, right? So um I got rid of it. And um anyways, but we haven't had a couch either. So it's just been this big wide open living room, and we just run around in it all the time. And I've had a couple of possible pieces of furniture offered to me over the last year, right? And for reasonable prices or whatever, but I just kept on denying them and being like, nope, I really want to get a big ass sectional and have space for all of us and the dogs. Like, literally, that's just what I want. I don't want to move some furniture in and then have to move it out and move that in later. And I know that the sectionals is going to be expensive, so it's going to take me a while to save up for, but we're fine without a couch. We don't need that. And I mean, it was true. But at the same time, it has also had me sort of in this state of like, I don't necessarily want to invite people over because there's nowhere to sit except for like our hard dining table chairs. And I do have like some folding chairs and whatever that are mildly padded, but barely. Like, they're just not comfortable. So I was like, never inviting people over, never. Or if people came over, they didn't stay long because there's nowhere to sit down and like relax and just get comfy, right? Um so yeah, there was that. And then even I have a TV in my bedroom and one in the living room, and the living room should be like the main, everybody goes there and watches stuff, but instead everybody was sort of living in my room watching the TV in my room because there's a bed at least that they could sit on. And that includes like my kids' friends when they would come over and everything. So it just was like it turned into everybody was eating in my bed, or people were, jumping around on my bed and destroying the made bed constantly. And um it had just become this like way that we were all existing, and it sucked. It really sucked. And then recently, my and this was a few months ago, my grandmother passed away, and my grandfather was being moved into a home, and they had some furniture to get rid of. And my mom suggested, well, there's a recliner and a couch, a love seat couch, a matching set, and you could have them. And at first I was saying no, and like doing my same old, well, I want to get a sectional, so I don't want to move those in and then move them out. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm fairly minimal. My house doesn't always seem like it because I've got kids and it's crazy, but I don't like to have extra, right? So it was just like, no, what am I going to do with those once I get a sectional? Then I'm going to have to get rid of them and deal with that and this and that and the other thing. And that was just my sort of go-to response without really putting a lot of thought into it. And my mom was like, okay, well, I understand. Like, before you say that, what about the basement? Like, the kids have their play area down there. It's just big and wide open. They could have couches down there later too. And I was like, you're right. And I don't know why I never thought of it. So it was like, I wouldn't even have to necessarily take them out of my house once I get that sectional that I'm wanting. It would just be a thing of moving them downstairs. So I was like, okay, we can do that. And this grandma and grandpa lived farther away from me, so it was not like an instant matter of getting these pieces of furniture to me. And then I had someone in my entrepreneur circle who also was like, hey, I have this recliner and this love seat, do you want them? You can just have them, they're in good shape, they just don't match our decor anymore and this and that. And I was like, okay, I already have a love seat and a recliner coming. But again, my house has always been, and I intend it to always continue to be, the place that my kids bring their friends, and their friends like to hang out at my house. This is the place that they come to hang out. They don't go to their houses. They always end up coming to mine. So, and not always, but like a lot of the time, majority of the time, I almost always have extra kids here. And I was like, yeah, I mean, even if we have 2 love seats and 2 recliners down in the basement later, what's wrong with that? Like, that just means more friends can be here. There's more seating for them, and downstairs, they can be out of my way, especially as they're getting older, right? They can be, um, a bunch of teenagers hanging out downstairs instead of up here being loud where I am or whatever. So it was like, yeah, okay. And anyway, so both of these pieces got dropped off yesterday. And I had both of the recliners I had gotten previously, and then both of the love seats got dropped off yesterday. So my mom, my her husband, and my uncle all came by to do this, and we're hanging out here. I had the stew going, and I was still adding more vegetables to it and stuff, and it just wasn't going to be ready as early as I had hoped. And so my mom's husband was just like, "I'm ordering pizza." So they got pizza, and we all just sort of did whatever. And the whole time I just got to be present, right? I just got to do that and not worry about business. I had decided I'm taking 4 days. I'm taking today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because Monday here is a day off school for the kids. So my ex will have the 2 younger kids um, fully through Monday, and then I'll get them back Tuesday. And um, the prospect of not doing anything for work for 4 days is like, I don't think that's possible. Like, it probably isn't, but I am going to very deliberately not be online, not be available to answer DMs, not be available to answer um, Facebook notifications, or even check those Facebook notifications, anything like that. So I'm just going to shut off that aspect, and I will just be present. Today I just got to be very, very present, first with myself, then with my youngest, then with the whole family, and then with the extended family. And tomorrow morning will just be me and the kids. And then tomorrow afternoon we'll be at my dad's for a barbecue. Um, and again, I can just be present for me and my family. Um, And then on Sunday and Monday, when the younger 2 kids are gone, I will probably kick my oldest out to go to her boyfriend's house instead of be here, and just get to be alone. And some of that can just really be me relaxing and not doing anything. And some of that will probably be me working on stuff that is not forward facing or client facing type stuff. Just because, again, I need to shut off that constant connection to the outside world and busyness for a solid few days, right? And that's the thing. And so, anyways, this whole rambling story is really just to point out that we don't have to, especially as entrepreneurs, right? Especially as um, people who really have chosen to run their lives how they choose to run them. We do not ever have to be on so much. We do not have to be go, go, go and so, so busy all the time. It's just too much. And I think one benefit almost of working for someone else is that you come home at the end of the day and you don't have to focus on that anymore. And as an entrepreneur, it's not that you have to, it's because you're usually so passionate about what you're doing that you just do, and you never really turn it off. And um you have to be really conscious of that and deliberate about that. And a lot of the time I am, but lately, with everything that happened with my website and the busyness and all of it increasing, I have not been. And it went on for too long of me not disconnecting, and really just maxed me out. So today was very, very restorative. I got some specific areas of my house really nice and deep cleaned, got caught up on laundry, got caught up on dishes, got a nice stew cooking, all of that. We didn't end up eating the stew for supper, but it still ended up, it's ready. We can have it tomorrow. And actually, my daughter and I, my oldest and I, after the 2 younger ones were in bed and everyone else was gone, we were watching some shows together, and we both had some stew because it was fresh and hot and just too yummy to resist. And yeah, just feeling very complete and whole and much, much better than I was yesterday. And looking forward to a few more days of that, right? This is a staycation in a sense. And again, it's not just with work that we are exactly where we need to be. No matter what it is that we're doing, we are always exactly where we need to be, right? So I am exactly where I need to be in sitting and doing nothing. And it just took a little bit of convincing for my brain, especially for my RAS, to feel like that was a safe thing to do. Like I could just slow the fuck down. And once you do, though, the restoring happens very, very quickly. So feeling like $1,000,000 compared to yesterday and really looking forward to the next few days. So that is what I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.